And the first topical issue is in the names of Deputy Sean Kyne, Deputy Jonathan O'Brien and Sean Crowe, and it's to the Minister for Health on the need for additional funding to ensure the availability of services for persons with learning disabilities upon graduation from school this month. Deputy Kyne, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank the Kyne Court's office for selecting this topical issue, a very important issue. I'd like to welcome the Minister, Mr Lynch, to the Chamber. I was here last year on a similar issue, Minister, and thankfully those issues were sorted for the parents and kids. So unfortunately, we're back again this year, and new parents, new children, but the same concern. I'd acknowledge, I suppose, the HSE National Service Plan 2013, the 4 million was made available, which is a welcome for the needs of those leaving school and rehabilitative training. But unfortunately, the information that I have is that that will not be enough. HSE West has been allocated €932,000 of that 4 million. In Galway, they have an allocation of €210,000, but they feel they need an extra €600,000 to deal with the numbers of children that are coming on stream this year. There's about 80 children in Galway. 46 of these will need additional resources. Of these, the Brothers of Charity have 19. They have endured, as you know, 5 years of cuts and rationalisation, and they've eaten into their own reserves. They've been prudent over a number of years, but those reserves are gone. At this stage, they've stated that they will not be able to take any new users, and if they do, they will have to cut services to others, which is obviously is not acceptable, and they would be concerned about the safety, that it would be not be safe to take on additional children. Also, we have to note that this is the first year that children in the Obitha school in Galway, which are not associated with any of these existing services, will be coming on stream, and these have high needs, including autism and high medical needs, and many have 24/7 requirement for care. So I'm just wondering, Minister, will new resources be made available in addition to the 4 million to ensure that these children and parents have peace of mind, and also that they will have a service in September?
Could I just say that I want to start by appreciating very much the manner in which the three deputies have approached this. A rational, reasonable argument has been put, and I really do appreciate that, because I think sometimes in circumstances like this, and I take Deputy Crowe's point very clearly, that a family clearly in distress and very anxious about not just their future but their son's future as well. So I really do appreciate that. I think it's too often the case that people are used, and their anxiety is not taken into account. So I am pleased to take this opportunity to outline on behalf of the Minister for Health the position in relation to the matters raised by the deputies. I should say at the outset that the Government does not comment on individual cases. I'm sure you were expecting that. But our policy is to enable young people with disabilities to live independent lives to the greatest extent possible. I recognise the importance of life skills training and day services to people with disabilities who are leaving the education system, and every effort is being made within available resources to provide services to all of the 2013 school leavers. Day services for adults with disabilities provide a network of supports for over 25,000 people who have a wide spectrum of needs, ranging from those with severe and profound disabilities who may need long-term specialist service provision to people with lower support needs and greater potential for community participation and inclusion. The HSE, through its occupational guidance services, works with schools, service providers, service users and their families to identify the needs of young people with disability who are due to complete their second-level education. The aim is to address the needs of individuals in the following way: health-funded rehabilitative or life skill training, health-funded day services, FOSS-funded vocational training or extension to education placement for a specified time. Service providers and the HSE are working closely together to identify how the needs of those individuals who require day service or training places in 2013 can be responded to within available resources. I have asked to be kept informed of the progress on a weekly basis. The demand for services for school leavers continues to grow. The HSE expects that over 700 school leavers require new day services or life skills training in 2013. Although the 2013 allocation for disability services has been reduced by 1.2%, the National Service Plan includes an additional £4 million to provide appropriate services for school leavers and rehabilitative training graduates in 2013. This funding is being allocated to each HSE region based on its percentage of population. Even with the additional funding, the provision of the required level of new services will be challenging in the context of the overall budgetary position and the moratorium on staff recruitment. In addition, the physical capacity to provide further services may not be present in all agencies, and we're very conscious of that. While the HSE makes every effort to provide day services or training places to school leavers with special needs, this has always been dependent on the availability and location of appropriate places coupled with the needs of the individual school leaver. However, both the voluntary sector and the HSE are committed to the best use of available resources in a creative and flexible manner, so as to be as responsive as possible to the needs of this cohort. In respect of the particular young person referred to by the deputies, I am informed that the HSE is working with the local service provider to assess how the needs of this young man may be best accommodated. I understand he will require an extensive support package, and a proposal has been put by the service provider to the HSE for consideration. This proposal, which is costed at £117,000 per year, will be considered in the overall context of the individual's needs and the needs of other school leavers in the area. No decision has yet been made in this regard, but the HSE have assured me that a day service will be provided for the young man in question in September, but the location and type of service have yet to be agreed. And could I just say that in terms of, we're always going to have this issue, year in, year out, but we are determined that it won't come about as a result of crisis every year. We should know how many people are going to be leaving every year, we should know what their needs are, and indeed we should be planning on a year-by-year basis. It won't always be the same type of service, I think. I mean, that is essential. I mean, what is incredible, I find, and someday when we have a little bit more time, maybe I'll talk to the deputies about what Genio has done last year in finding places that are different, finding places that are more community-based and more inclusive. Won't suit everyone, but it suited approximately 79 people last year. And you know, it's that type of thinking that we need to bring about as well, including of course, as Deputy O'Brien has rightly said, the type of whole-of-government approach that we need to bring to all of this.
Thanks, Minister. Deputy Kyne, just 1 minute, I'm afraid, for deputies to respond to.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank the Minister for her response, and I appreciate the work that she is going on, the ongoing work that has taken place on this issue every year, and also the work that Genio has been doing for a long number of years. Just in relation to the 4 million, that is welcome, the 4 million additional provided under the HSE service plan, but quite clearly not adequate. Now, I appreciate that you are and the HSE are liaising and negotiating with the service providers, but the need to ensure at this stage that they will have services for their kids. And one parent yesterday whose child has got autism has stated that it's crucial because of their autism that there is a transition period for their child to any new placement well in advance of September, and as of now there is nowhere to transition to because of lack of planning and insufficient funding for school leavers with special needs. And I appreciate you said this will be an issue every year, but you know, the parents acknowledge, as you have said there, that the HSE know that these kids are coming on. They know the numbers every year, and they're concerned that as we're into the middle of June, that they still have this level of uncertainty. So I'd ask you to ensure that you continue to do everything through the HSE and through the service providers to ensure that these kids have placement come September.
Thanks, Deputy Minister.
I'll be very brief. 4 million, I suppose, in the context of the economic situation we find ourselves in, and the enormous budget that we spend on disability. I mean, and the budget we spend on disability is enormous. But as Deputy O'Brien rightly said, it's just that, you know, about putting it all together, you know, about genuinely taking a serious look at how we bring all of that together under the one roof, and I think we would definitely get better outcomes as a result of that. It's not about incomes, you know, it's not about saving money, it's about how do you get a better outcome. And could I just say that in terms of the budget itself, I did manage to have only a 1.2% cut when everything else was going to 4 and 5%. And I very clearly, because the people that operate within the industry, within the disability sector, you know, we discussed this, we discussed it at length, and you know, they said to me, and they have been doing a tremendous job over the last few years and under difficult circumstances, and they did say to me that if we could manage to keep the overall cut down, that they could manage a lot of what needs to be done, but that can only go on for a certain length of time. I mean, you know, I'm not certain, as I said in part of the reply, that there is actually, even if we had 10 million to spend this year, which we don't, even if we had 10 million to spend this year in relation to school leavers, next year, I just wonder, is the capacity within the organisations themselves to actually take all of those people on? So there is something that we need to take a serious look at. And by the way, Deputy O'Brien, we have managed to map all of what is available, and I think that's just a very significant first step in how we reconfigure the service, but the service does need to be reconfigured.